Is there anybody that wants to speak tonight under public comment? Would you like to come up here and sign in, please?
He's supposed to be coming, but he's not coming
Rhonda, if she don't come, does that mean you're presenting? I'm so
now.
excited.
I don't even have a copy of the audit.
Oh, it'll be fine. Zach's got it memorized. He won't
You need another chair? We'll do that. Thank you so much. She'll come back in her chair.
We do. We started having more. It's actually just
That's gone now.
August and that's his just, we've all got here now, except for Billy, we gotta work on it.
Let's support that. Let's done.
Oh, well, no, she's in that here.
Coffee and made no coffee.
These ain't that more on this country, I'll stand up.
This is true.
I had to turn off our connection tonight, cause it used to be, I would do it like, and I would watch it, right, but then it's Zach, you know, it's like, dangerous. Geez, Bill was, at like 2:30, my phone's charging, I'm like,
Police are doing.
February 6th, meeting of Franklin Council order. I'd like to recognize and ask to come up forward from the Crestline School Superintendent's Club. Raylene Davis, Bridges, come forward, please. Kyle Champion. Addison Jennings. Samuel Gibson. And Lydia Simpson. As I said, these are from Crestline School Superintendent Club. They're going to lead us to the pledge of allegiance. Just start this way with the flag, please. Attention, salute, pledge. Like, no more, I like this picture.
So for the sake of space, look over this way toward me, and kids, young adults, squeeze a little closer. Okay. so much. Ms. Lawson, I'll email you the photos.
Okay, thanks, thank you.
I've never been told I need to talk louder. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of our agenda. Do I hear a motion that the agenda be adopted?
Make a motion we adopt the agenda.
Motion in a second.
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Agenda is adopted. This time we have a good thing and a bad thing. We'd like to recognize the family of Mr. Bill Elliott, who was the mayor and councilman for the town. More than that, he was a town citizen for a long, long time. I've never heard I personally, and I'm sure everybody else feels the same way, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Bill Elliott. In fact, anytime you heard his name, it was a good thing. He'll be missed. This time, I'd like to read proclamation. I'd like to ask maybe Patty and anybody else who'd like to come up. Bill? Elizabeth? Dylan? And I'll try not to get choked up. Proclamation in memory of William Bill K. Elliott, August 15th, 1930, January 24th, 2026. Whereas born and raised in Durham, North Carolina, Bill Elliott moved to Bowling Springs in 1955 when he married Ann Hamrick. Whereas Bill was a proud graduate of Wake Forest University, where he's also a member of the Phi Delta Chi fraternity. Whereas Bill Elliott proudly served his country for 2 years after being drafted into the Army, where he was stationed in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Whereas Bill was elected by the citizens of Bowling Springs as a member of the town council and later served as mayor, supporting the growth, values, and well-being of the community. Whereas Bill Elliott contributed to the community of Bowling Springs over the years as the first president of the Bowling Springs Rotary Club and remained a devoted Rotarian throughout his life, serving faithfully as chairman of the Deacons of Bowling Springs Baptist Church and participating in many church committees with compassion, wisdom, and leadership. Whereas Bill was passionate about education and community involvement, serving on the board of trustees of Gardner-Webb University and supporting Gardner-Webb Athletics, where he was president of the Bulldog Club. Whereas the town of Bowling Springs and its citizens wish to honor Bill Elliott for his distinguished service and commitment to Bowling Springs and the surrounding community. The passing of Bill is called a deep void and sadness in this community. Now therefore, I, Tommy Green, Mayor of the town of Bowling Springs, on behalf of the Bowling Springs Town Council, we hereby wish to honor the service of Bill Elliott to the citizens of the town of Bowling Springs. We express our gratitude to Bill Elliott and his family for his years of service in Bowling Springs. Adopted this 3rd day of February 2026 by the town of Bowling Springs, North Carolina. I'm gonna swear in some police officers, I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for everybody being here. First and foremost, thank you for supporting the officers of the town. It's the biggest commitment that you guys can do for us. And we'll get started, jump right on into it. First promotion is going to be Corporal Travis Allen. Corporal Allen started with Boiling Springs PD in May of 2025 after serving with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Corporal Allen currently serves on night shift patrol. Corporal Allen enjoys DWI detection and interacting with citizens while he patrols the town. Pinning Corporal Allen today is his fiancee, Lacey. Next up is Officer Stanley Crowder. Oh,
It's
we're
okay,
gonna,
I like to swear.
oh, you're gonna do each at a time? Okay.
I'd like to do
Sounds
one at a
good.
time, if you don't mind. Repeat after me. I, Travis Allen, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
I, Travis Allen, solemnly swear I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will not be influenced by in any manner
and will not be influenced by any matter
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office.
that I will faithfully, one more time, I'm sorry.
That's right. I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my department
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills, ability, and judgment.
as a law enforcement officer
According to the best
according to the best
of my skills,
of my skills,
ability, and judgment.
ability, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, next up. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm rushing. All right, next up is Officer Stanley Crowder. All right, Officer Crowder started with Boiling Springs PD in August of 2025 as a part-time officer. He became a full-time officer in November of 25 after serving with Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and Atrium Hospital Police. Now, Officer Stanley enjoys getting out in the community and talking with citizens. Pending Officer Stanley today is his wife Sherry.
Repeat after me. I, Stanley Crowder, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
I, Stanley Crowder, solemnly swear to be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce criminal laws of the state.
that I will not be influenced in any manner
I will not be influenced in any manner
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias, prejudice.
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
I faithfully and impartially enforce the duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills,
as a law enforcement officer according to my skills, best of my skills,
abilities, and judgment.
abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure. We should stick the needle in your
All right, next up is Corporal Tyler Lane. Corporal Lane started Boiling Springs PD in March of 23 after serving with the Shelby Police Department. Corporal Lane currently serves as SRO at Boiling Springs Elementary School. In October, Corporal Lane won the Boiling Springs Elementary Fun Run, dressed as an inflatable dinosaur beating out. Pinning his corporal stripes on are his parents.
I, Tyler Lane, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
I, Tyler Lane, solemnly swear I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will not be influenced in any manner
that I will not be influenced in any manner
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias and prejudice,
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills,
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills,
abilities, and judgment.
abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
All right, next up is Corporal Elliot Newton. Corporal Newton started Boiling Springs PD in July 2019 after serving with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Corporal Newton currently serves on night shift patrol and has helped the agency become active with the Governor's Highway Safety Program. He is passionate about traffic safety. Today, pinning him is his wife Tanya.
I, Elliot Newton, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
I, Elliot Newton, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state.
that I will not be influenced in any manner
I will not be influenced in any manner
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias or prejudice.
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills,
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skill,
ability, and judgment.
abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
December of '25 after working for the Gastonia Police Department. She's passionate about mental health and domestic violence, and she's a certified peer support specialist. And she enjoys getting in the community. Pinning her is her husband Justin and her daughter Charlie.
Read after me, please. I, Madison Paget, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
I, Madison Paget, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will not be influenced in any matter
that I will not be influenced in any matter
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills,
as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skills,
abilities, and judgment.
abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
We did turn the air on, we're getting a little bit hot, so we have turned on the air, just so folks know. I know it's trying to conserve money, you know, we're being fiscally responsible, stretching that penny as far as we can. Tracy said people were getting hot, so.
We don't want people getting hot here.
No, that's what I was worried about.
Not now.
Next item on our agenda, item number 6 is community reports. First, we'd like to hear from Cleveland Community College Small Business Center Director Stephen Langston.
So Mr. Lancaster was snowed in, he was not able to come this evening. He did let us know he wasn't able to make it for conference.
To the side.
Next will be Cleveland County Veterans Resource Connection, Julie Trotz, Veterans Service Supervisor.
Good evening. I'm Julie Price. I'm supervisor for Cleveland County Veteran Services. And I first just want to say thank you for allowing the opportunity for me to be here tonight at this evening's town council. I'm here to talk about something that I'm truly passionate about, and that's veterans. Especially those veterans that live right here in Cleveland County. As a veteran service officer, it is my duty to help veterans and their family members access benefits they're eligible for, including but not limited to VA compensation and VA health care. I'm here to help educate and advocate for the veterans we serve. With that being said, Cleveland County hosts an annual Veterans Resource event at the LeGrand Center in Shelby. This year will be our 4th consecutive year hosting this event, with each year growing in attendance. Last year we had approximately 300 plus in attendance, and we're hoping to double or even triple that amount this year. We know with the community support helping us spread the word, we can make that possible. At this time, being early in the planning stages, we don't have an exact date set for this year's event. However, I do expect it to be sometime late October, early November. Updated information will be provided on the Cleveland County's government webpage and also through Cleveland County Veteran Services Facebook page. The resource event is a one-stop shop and has proven success aligning veterans and their families and caretakers directly with programs, benefits, and resources they need and have rightfully earned. We bring in around 50 vendors to provide information and services to veterans. This event offers tangible, on-site, and continued support to veterans and their family members. For example, we have the Veteran Suicide Prevention Program that comes from the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA's healthcare system. We have the Register of Deeds office that helps educate our veterans on the importance of putting their DD-214s or discharge papers on file. And they're also able to get a Cleveland County Military Discount ID card as a thank you for their service. Great Clips offered free haircuts. A local dermatologist did free skin checks. Social services helped with food and other assistance programs. Northside Baptist Church gave out hygiene supplies, cleaning products, and cold weather gear. Blue Ridge Honor Flight was there to register veterans to go to Washington DC to see the wall that heals, which, by the way, that the Veterans Vietnam Memorial replica, is also known as the Traveling Wall, will be coming to Spindale in November. Looking forward to that, November the 12th through the 16th, and that'll be set up at Isothermal Community College. Also, at the resource event, we had Grumpy's Bike Shop, who makes custom recumbent bikes for veterans to help improve their overall health. Caption Call provides those with hearing loss issues a free phone that provides real-time on-screen text and telephone conversations, along with high-volume amplification. Charles George VA Health staff are available to help veterans enroll in VA health care. We have people who can help with claims. This is not a claims clinic, but there are folks that can help with claims issues. We also have a variety of vendors, from healthcare agencies to education, housing, Medicare assistance, financial help, along with several of the local posts such as the American Legion, DAV, the Marine Corps, and the VFW. The resource event is self-guided and handicap accessible, and is open to all veterans, not just ones who live here in Cleveland County. We want to encourage everyone that attends the resource event to stop by at each vendor to pick up brochures and ask questions. Our office is also there to help answer questions about the veterans' benefits. Please help us share with all veterans that Cleveland County has a Veteran Service Office that they can come to apply for benefits, whether it's compensation claims, survivor benefits, death benefits. We're here to assist veterans through the entire process. Trying to navigate the VA system on your own can easily become overwhelming, causing a lot of veterans to give up. Cleveland County has 2 accredited Veteran Service Officers, including myself and Monica Magali Rivera. We're both accredited through the American Legion and the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Most every county has a Veteran Service Office, and we encourage all veterans to reach out to their local VSO to meet with them at least one time. Our goal at Cleveland County Veteran Services is to help veterans get all the benefits they're eligible for. Veterans benefits can be life-changing, and there are too many veterans missing out on benefits due to misinformation, and some are just unaware of what benefits are available. So I'm asking that if you know a veteran, whether it's a family member, next door neighbor, or if you yourself are a veteran, please encourage them to see a Veteran Service Officer and to attend this year's Veterans Resource event. We have over 6,000 veterans here in Cleveland County alone. We want to make sure that they are all seen, heard, and appreciated. And to any veterans here tonight, thank you for your service, and please use our services for your benefits. I do have some brochures and some business cards that I've left with Ms. Holland here, if anybody would like any of those. And also just wanted to say thank you again for the opportunity to come tonight and share about our services. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I'd like to echo that being a veteran and then attending the resources events that we've had since they started, they are very valuable, and I'm glad to see that the county has very capable staff, and they're always open to me. I've actually visited there a time or two myself. So I want to thank you for all you're doing to help the veterans. Next item on the agenda is Gardner Webb University President Nate Evans.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the chance to be here today. Steal a few minutes of your time. I've got some sundry items and events to share with you. February 7th, we have hoops coming. If you remember, we announced this at the last town council meeting. We kind of had two different events on 2 different dates, and the Lord provided and helped us find a way to have them on one day by canceling the first one for us. So February 7th at 2 p.m., we'd love for you guys to join us. It's if you think about it, like homecoming for basketball and cheer. So February 7th at 2 p.m., that is a registered event, so coming up quick. we are still accepting registrations. Community worship will be held on February 5th at 11:30. This is open to the public, and we encourage our friends and neighbors to join us for that. That will be in Tucker Student Center at 11:30. As we go through the rest of our sports programs, we're in the heart of basketball season, wrestling season, and we are, believe it or not, softball starts this week. So bundle up, come on out. Baseball starts on the 13th, I believe, so Valentine's Day weekend. If you came to our first pitch dinner, you heard one of my secrets, so you can come on the 13th for a choral concert. You can take your bride or significant other to dinner at the CAF, and then you can attend a baseball game. And what more do you need for a nice day? Last thing I have is an exciting announcement. Dean of the College of Health Sciences, Dr. Tracy Arnold, has been moved into that position full time. This is an important leadership step for us as we grow programs that continue to serve the community in that area. So thank you again for the chance to be here. Oh, last thing, fall football schedule's out. So go ahead and start marking your calendars and get ready for that. So thank you guys.
Mr. Mayor, we do have someone signed up, Mr. Schaller? Schaller, I tried, I'm sorry, Mr. Schaller.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'll,
I skipped one.
just a little bit longer.
No problem.
The
Can't believe you forgot
illustrious,
the auditor.
You tried to skip me.
anyone who knows me knows I would never skip.
No, he would never
Our
skip the auditor.
Most important, most interesting
I
presentation you've seen.
I live one day a year, and this is it.
I don't like when things get interesting.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you've got your own.
I can't read that. Mine has to be large enough. that I can read it.
I don't have paper that can print like that. I saw those people here when I got here and I said, wow, they're real excited for this audit, right? Then everybody left. Oh well. All right, I passed everybody out the report that I filed with the local government commission about your audit, and this is what I am required to come and present to you guys. You only had one item on there that you didn't pass, quote unquote, that we knew was coming, and it's the capital asset ratio, and that is basically saying that your water sewer assets are been depreciated more than half their lives. We knew that was coming. It's every year. You'll have to respond to the LGC like you've done the past couple of years with a letter that you'll have 60 days from today to respond and send. A majority of the council has to sign that letter and send it into them, basically with what your plans are, what you're doing, all the projects you're doing, all the grants you've got coming in, those kinds of things, and what you're doing for the system. The calculations that they look at, the ones we always go over, the general fund, I've included a couple pages here, and usually I kind of handwrite it at the bottom, but this year I've given you an Excel spreadsheet where I've shown exactly what numbers go into those calculations and what page number of the audit. You all have a PDF, you'll get hard copies when the printer comes back to work. And that way when you're looking through the audit, you know where these numbers come from, and I thought this spreadsheet would be a little more helpful than my normal chicken scratch handwriting at the bottom, trying to tell you where the numbers are. So if you look at that first one, fund balance as a percent of expenditures, for you guys, they want you to have more than 34% of your expenditures held in your fund balance. So that if something were to happen, you can operate 34% of your expenditures. You guys are sitting at 41.46, so you've met that. If you look at last year, you were at 34.93, so you've increased that from last year. And I'm showing you exactly what the numbers, it's your cash, it's basically your cash, your investment in the cash management account, minus your liabilities, divided by your expenditures. The next one is they want your total fund balance to be greater than zero. Your fund balance at the end of the year was 2.5 million. Last year it was right at 2 million. So again, an increase from last year, an improvement.
being fiscally responsible, as he said. The water sewer fund, the first one there is called a quick ratio. It's basically your assets over your liabilities. And again, I've given you the numbers that they put into that. You're at 6.16. They want you to be greater than 1, so you've more than met that. Basically, it means you have enough on hand to cover your liabilities, your current liabilities. And last year you were at 5, so again, another increase there. You have cash to cover what your liabilities are. The next one is they want your operating net income when you take out things like depreciation that aren't cash numbers. They want that to be a positive number. You guys were at 75,000 this year and 71,000 last year. So again, another positive increase that shows the help of the town. And that one is basically, you had an operating loss of 114,000, but that was mostly due to depreciation and amortization on your assets and amortization on your leases. If you remember a couple years ago, there was a new standard that came in and we had to get all of your leases onto the books. So all of the, everything that you guys lease goes, all the vehicles that you guys lease now instead of own, that goes on there, and there's an amortization amount. So you add that back, and that's what gets you to that 75. The next one is unrestricted cash as a percentage of expenses. They want you to be greater than 16%. You're at 52%. Last year you were higher, you were 72%, but mostly that's due to an increase in expenses this year due to a lot of the projects that you've done. You had an increase in expenses this year, which you knew was coming. It was a lot of the projects, the repairs after Helene, those kind of things that you can't help. Transfers, they want to make sure you're not transferring more than 3% of your operating expenses, that you're not having to subsidize the water sewer fund with your general fund. So you guys aren't allowed to transfer more than 70, for last year with what your operating expenses were, you can't transfer more than 70,000 into your water sewer fund. You had a $45,000 transfer that was to a capital project fund that gets combined in there with that water sewer fund. So you're well under that 3%, so you passed that. And then on the last page, we get to that capital asset condition ratio that I told you about, that was the one thing that you didn't pass that you'll have to write about. And it's your total capital assets that are being depreciated. You minus out your accumulated depreciation, your depreciation since you bought the items, and your remaining useful life. Then you take your remaining useful life divided by the total amount of the assets. And so you guys are at 46.56%, and they want that to be higher than 50%. Well, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully when I tell most towns to tell the state that they can get into that viable utility reserve and give you some money to do some projects, then that would fix the problem. But I don't know if they like that answer or not. The next thing in your packet is the management letter. This is the letter where we send you some things that we think that you just need to be looking out. The most important thing on there is that because of all the wonderful grants that y'all got coming, that somebody has worked really hard to make sure it's coming in here, next year, the June 30, 26, y'all will meet the threshold for being what they call a federal single audit, and probably the state single audit as well, with the federal and state money. And that just comes with a lot more compliance requirements, a lot more testing that goes into the audit. And so the most important thing is, I just talked with Zach and Rhonda, that we got to make sure that every I is dotted and T is crossed, and there'll be a lot more testing and things that go into the audit for the 26 fiscal year, because you will meet that single audit threshold for both state and federal. Things that are coming, I don't know what the financial statements are going to look like going forward. The GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board, has issued a new GASB that changes the presentation of some things. So we'll see what that's going to look like. You might get your audit next year and think it looks nothing like what you've seen in the past, because I guess they think we don't have enough work to do. So they want to change everything. But that's the only thing I can think of really coming up that's a big standard. There was nothing really this year that was that needed to be reported, that needed to be, shown as a finding in the audit, everything was good there. The things in the management letter are mostly just, hey, these are things you need to work on, that they're not big deals. They're, some of the things have been said in the past, and then some of it's just kind of blanket boiler language that we say, hey, look at your internal controls every year, make sure you're looking at stuff. Make sure you guys as a council know that even though you've hired a wonderful staff, you don't get to pass off your fiduciary responsibility to the town. So you have to make sure you're reviewing the financials, looking at everything, reviewing the budgets, doing your side of things. So, any questions? I know that's the most interesting presentation you've ever heard, but I'm in a play right now where I get to play a Russian princess, so I guess I could have done it in a Russian accent. That would have made it a little more fun.
Questions? Yeah, no questions? You're good, Pat, no questions?
All right. Well, if you come up with a question, know that, like I've always said, we're here all year. We want to be here for you. If you come up with a question in the middle of the night, you know, shoot me an email and I'll answer it when I wake up. So, just let me know if y'all have any questions or y'all need anything from me, okay?
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mary Grace. I will try not to call before, I was gonna actually say February. So,
It is
yeah.
February.
Yes. We are, so you all remember, we've been in the process of preparing for that state and federal single audit. And so that's where we brought Tisha on to assist with some of that compliance, so that we've got some more separation of duties for Rhonda there, and then we're double checking and doing some internal spot checking of all of those things. Who knew the federal government audited things? Mary Grace, that's new. The federal government auditing things and checking over how we spend stuff. Surely not. But so we're preparing for those federal, that federal single audit and then the state single audit as well, because we should trip a single audit for the state also. And so we're conscientious of that. And I'm looking at these couple of things here, make sure internal controls, they ought to put that on there every year.
But we adopted some internal controls and we had a different policy update and all that. Cash fund, I mean, all that stuff's already been put in.
Yeah, and internal controls is one of those things that you can never have too many of them. Which is I'm speaking for Mary Grace there, but on the staff side, we can make them so cumbersome that it's too difficult to do anything. So it's a balancing act, but internal controls is one of those low-hanging fruit where we can always do better and always refine. Adjustments in the billing system we've worked on, recommended financial system to complete the bank rec, is the new Springbrook software that right now we're running two parallel softwares. So the new software can do that, and has that functionality. Our current one, QS1, does not. GASB 101 is something that I leave to Rhonda, because GASB exists only as long as they pass new rules. And so when they stop giving us new rules, then they will cease to exist. So they have to keep doing new rules, and that's cute. It's the same reason why we have to now count sick time, even though there is no circumstance where we would pay someone else for sick time, we still have to count that in our audit, so we have to check that. The capital asset condition ratio, and she's giving you that formula there, we knew that was coming. It's one of those, the Wall Avenue sewer line replacement will assist with that. The South Main Street improvements will assist with that. I don't know that the Wall Avenue will hit for the current fiscal year, for fiscal year 26. I don't know yet if South Main Street, if that new water line will be in the asset, the capital asset list by the close of June of 2026. I'm not sure yet. It's going to depend on when it's fully operational. But those two things will adjust. The main thing there is to keep an eye on our depreciation, to make sure that we're understanding the amount of depreciated assets that we have on the books in our water sewer fund. And Mary Grace always does a wonderful job of giving you all this beautiful picture, and then she lets me be the rain cloud during the budget season. And so I always appreciate that. But you look at that depreciation number, it's $280,000 a year in the water sewer fund, and things get a little bit grim. That's just me, I'm just calling balls and strikes. That's management's discussion though, me and Grace, right? That's not for the auditor to say. I like when me and Grace does management's discussion, so y'all hear from somebody else. But she says something about, that's what that letter at the front of the audit's for. But with that, Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything else to say about the audit. Unless people wanna talk about it, in which case I have my printed version. And I would love to do it, it's tabbed and everything.
We don't want to talk about it right now.
I can attest to the fact that he likes to talk
He
about it.
loves to talk about it.
It's my heart. I call Mayor Grace to talk about other people's audits. So, it is it's a good time.
Zach, how close to the wall Avenue is to that 50%?
A wonderful question that I cannot answer. It was $250,000, so pull up that sheet. It was $250,000, so I wouldn't see it adding more than 2 percentage points to that number. Because we'll remove some of the accumulated depreciation and replace that other number, but I wouldn't think that it would shift it significantly. A lot of that accumulated depreciation number, a significant portion of it is located in our cast iron lines, of which there are few. But in our clay sewer lines, that's where a lot of that comes from, because you don't put clay lines in anymore. And there's a significant amount of those clay sewer lines in some part of the town, which we will get into next month when we do our capital improvement plan from McGill. They've got the percentage breakdown of all of that.
Any questions, comments? All right, thank you very much. Now, we'll have public comments.
Yes, I'm sorry, I lost my paper.
The city of South Shallow.
Shallow, I'm ready. Mr. Shallow. Come on up to the podium there, and then, yes, sir, and speak into that microphone so we can hear you, and there's 3 minutes. Yes, sir. Are you
Thank
ready?
you for hearing me, gentlemen, lady. As a background, I'm a dang Yankee. I moved here in 2018 in the Hawks Ridge development, bought Tom Payne's house. I retired from Whirlpool Corporation in Findlay, Ohio. I was an environmental engineer there. I spent 32 years there and retired and came down here, and I've really enjoyed North Carolina and the village of Point Springs, except for the past 2 weekends. My complaint is, I've been paying my utility bill right along, auto pay out of my direct checking account, and I was perfectly happy with that. But then a month or so ago, I got an email saying I needed to change the new utility billing system. And much as I hate computers and passwords and such, I complied as a good citizen and started paying my utility bills through that system. However, recently I was looking at my bank statement, and apparently I'm paying $2 a month for the privilege of letting the village take that bill right out of my checking account. And I didn't see anything about that in the email or any other notification on the website, so I was just wondering if that's some error in the system or if that was designed into it. I don't know. Anybody got any answers?
Generally during the public comment, we're not supposed to respond, but
Okay.
it's in there, so there's a $2 charge for that, because we have to pay the software company to take, so we pay a company called Express Bill Pay, and that's where you pay your utility bill. So we actually have to pay them, and so that's how they maintain that service. So the difference would be, in the most abstract possible way, imagine that we could just add across the board $2 to everybody's user fee for their water and their sewer, and then we could have written them one check at the beginning of the fiscal year. And so but that then puts the cost to every customer, not just the ones who use it. And so since it's a user fee-based system, and I can follow up with you about that later.
Well, I mean, the previous system didn't charge me.
It didn't for auto billing, but because the previous system didn't have the functionality to interact with our finance software, we were having to use staff time to manually transfer all of that information over. And so now that we're doing it automatically, that's what the convenience charge is, and it's not to us, we don't see that charge, it goes to the company itself, to Express Bill Pay. But if you want to mail, or you can either mail in your check or your cash or whatever, or you can bring it by here and pay it, and then you could avoid that $2 charge.
Yeah. I don't know if this will work here, but my understanding is that if I give you a check, it costs you more to run a check through than it does to have auto billing. But be that as it may, thank you for your answer. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item is the adoption of our consent agenda. Any comments, questions? Consent agenda include things listed there, adoption of the minutes, December financials, approved budget ordinance, resolution. Any questions about any of those? If not, I'll entertain a motion that the consent agenda be adopted.
I move we adopt the consent agenda as printed.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion, any questions? If not, all those in favor of the passage of the consent agenda, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, a regular business. Resolution number 26203-02, Oliver Avenue Road closure.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, off the top, your staff report says, staff recommend approval with the consent agenda. And I messed that up because at the last minute, I decided it shouldn't go on the consent agenda because I wanted to talk to you about it. And so, what we are proposing, and Mr. Schweppe and Ms. Holland have drafted this resolution here. Several months ago, council decided to abandon our easements on what's known as Oliver Avenue, but it's the section of road that was never fully realized, that on paper runs through the middle of where they're wanting to build Tractor Supply. So we abandon those easements. There is now, the issue has arisen where, because the roadway on paper exists, you all can't just abandon the easement, you have to inform the public that you are abandoning one of their roads. And so this resolution would then go out and allow the public to understand that you intend to close one of their streets, even though that street only exists on paper. And so we have to publish it in the newspaper, it has to go out, and then next month, you will see it again for you to take final action. So this would just allow Ms. Holland to go through the process of publication to alert the public that we're attempting to get rid of one of their roads, even though that road does not in actuality exist. Because it runs through the middle of Tractor Supply.
Just
Yeah, well, we just need a motion to approve this resolution. And then if approved, you all will see it next month.
I'll just for clarity say that it's been a few months, some months ago, that came up and you essentially addressed this. This cleans up the language, we talked about it in the form of an easement, but it needs to be spoken in terms of a road closure specifically. Nothing's changed from what had previously been approved, other than it cleans up, specifies how much of it, so there is some part of I think all around it exists. And then it specifies that we're closing only what never has been created to begin with. And then it adds in the statutory language about road closure requirements that is formality. So there's nothing new here that, technically new here that we hadn't, that didn't discuss, and it's been a number of months ago, but this cleans it up in terms of the process. If that makes sense.
Trivia question. You may know where Oliver come from? The name of the road? I do. Dale Henry lived there, at the end of the street is still active. His name was James see where the road, it does exist.
So that's not enclosed, that part.
No, that's not. No, that's not, I'm talking about the part that comes to Homestead, you can
Yeah.
actually see the bed of where the.
Yeah, the roadbed does
There.
exist, and you can see where the
Yeah.
roadbed would be. And we have discussed this for several years, even when Mr. Shires was here as manager. I think the board, we decided to take that off of our Powell bill map, so it's no longer, we're no longer claiming that section of roadway for Powell bill purposes. So it's been a topic we've looked at for several years.
So need a motion to adopt the resolution?
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Motion second, any further discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, motion carries. Next item, recycling program.
So, what you all have here, we need we've talked before about I'm not gonna get into all the acronyms, but the Department of Environmental Quality has a grant program that when we stack the grants together, it will equal $200,000 across two programs, and their goal is to provide recycling to multifamily housing and businesses. We had applied for that grant, and council's already approved a resolution of support for that. When we did, we said that we would provide an expanded multifamily housing recycling program to a select number of units in town. Those are all in Grayson's Ridge Apartments that came out of 24 units. So the return on investment for $200,000 for 24 units was pretty low. So the state said, would you consider, instead of maintaining your public services agreement, getting this new truck and bringing the recycling program in-house rather than continuing to contract with Republic, but then doing just Grayson's Ridge, and maybe we expand it to other multifamily units like Phillips Village and Varsity Square. Instead of going that way, just bring the whole program internally, because for them, that puts more people on the public utility and makes the public utility itself stronger. And so what you've got here is a request that you all allow Mayor Green to draft a letter that acknowledges that the town is considering, not doing for certain, considering moving the recycling service fully into the town's operational structure rather than via contractor. We will, in the letter, it states that that the town will consider it if awarded the $200,000 for this new recycling truck. The truck costs $399,999. And so, we would find the additional $200,000 to procure the truck. Now, the benefit of this program is it gives us we've got time to figure out where the $200,000 would come from. And so we'll work on that on our side. That would likely, it would be from local funds. Now, I'm gonna just give you a lot of numbers here. We currently pay Republic Services $100,000 annually for recycling. If we purchase this truck, that would eliminate that annual cost of $100,000. Let's assume, just for argument's sake, worst case scenario, that we end up needing to hire someone to drive that recycling truck. If we pay them what we currently pay our sanitation equipment operators, the total cost of that position would be $70,000. That would leave us $30,000 to pay the debt service on the new recycling truck. We have, as of August, retired debt service on our trash truck in the amount of $31,500 annually. So that would give us $61,500 annually to put towards the debt service of $200,000 on the new truck. And we could work that out with a lender, so that we did it, they would call it a lease to own, essentially. But we could work that out with the lender, they do it pretty frequently. And so that would be the worst worst case scenario where, we didn't, and I consider it worst case because I'm saying we spent the most money. If we did need to bring on an additional staff member, if we did need to take all of those steps. Before we got there, that type, bringing on an additional staff member would require you all to vote to amend the town's, payment and, the town's position classification system. And so you all would have to vote on that separately at a later date. So all we're doing at this point is allowing the mayor to send this letter saying we're thinking about it. If we get the $200,000, we can skin that cat when we get there. But this just lets us continue on this discussion with the Department of Environmental Quality, and see where they come out on the funding side, to make sure that it actually does make sense. Now, in terms of our annual conversation that we have, where every year we examine the recycling program to determine whether it's still feasible. If you flip in your agenda packet to page 25, you've got two line graphs here. So one of them is showing you that our commingled recycling collections have actually decreased year over year for the past 3 years. And so where we were taking in roughly 160 tons, we are now collecting it's about 110 tons of commingled recycling. But then you see the chart next to it where it has the annual recycling collection cost. And so that cost is increasing every year by roughly 5%. Some years it's 4.8, some years it's 5, and I think in the last year it was 5.2. But our contract with Republic allows that increase to happen at the rate of inflation for solid waste programs. And so it's not the consumer price index, it's whatever the solid waste specific inflation rate is. And it's usually about 5%. So they're anticipating that contract to rise to be a little north of $105,000 in the current fiscal year. And then since I had the charts handy, I also gave you our municipal solid waste and municipal yard waste information there. And then what you've got on page 27 is the solid waste department's budget. And it shows you there that debt service and principal, which is the fourth line from the bottom, debt service, principal and interest, $31,500. And that has now been retired. So we will have that money in the solid waste department to play with. And you can see in the line that says contracted services, it has recycling, $142,500. That $142,500 is the annual revenue generated from the town's recycling program. Gave you a lot of numbers. Thoughts?
Where would we take, if we do this, where would we take it?
Yes, we would take it to Rutherford County's Recycling Center, which is at their landfill, and they charge $130 per ton to do that. So if we took, what I did was I took the tonnage. I think I did it wrong, because when I took the tonnage and multiplied it by 130, it came up to $17,000. So my math is likely wrong, but if that is correct, then we are a little over 80 grand upside down on our contract. So I think that's part of the, I'm gonna go back and retool that and make sure that I've done all my calculations correctly. I took the tonnage and multiplied it by 130 a ton, but that's what it came up to. So, but that's because we're having to pay Republic to get it, they're having to pay depreciation on the truck, they're having to pay staff. And we can get into the particulars of how we would bring this into the town's general operations. I think if we are awarded that grant, or if the state at least is willing to consider it. Because at this point, we're just going to continue the conversation, and so Mayor Green's letter would just say we are willing to entertain the notion of bringing Republic that Republic contract to a close, bringing that service fully in-house, and with this grant money.
Question, comments?
The contract,
No, sir, go ahead, sir.
the contract with them, would that be negotiable? If we decide to do that, could we go back to public, we're willing to do this?
We could, I think, the last time Mike and I spoke to Republic, they were of the opinion that we are getting a very good deal.
I think we discussed that in there.
Yes, and we check it annually, so we're currently in a 3-year contract with them, but that 3-year contract allows us to give them 60 days notice. It's either 60 days or 30 days, and I'm 90% sure that it's 30, but let's say 60 for argument's sake. So that we can, that way we can notify them if we wanted to get out of it. We would give them 60 days notice. The other part of this is that we own all of the recycling cans, those are ours, so there would not be any additional costs for cans. And this is the exact reason why the town owns the cans, because if we ever wanted to change vendors, we would have the ability.
So I got a question, or I guess a thought on the commingled recycling, how it's decreased.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to 22, 23. At the time, we were not able to put glass in the cans, and now they've taken glass out, so I'm wondering if that's not decreased tonnage. You can't recycle glass in the recycle cans anymore. That's what we were told.
I put glass in mine.
I think that we can recycle glass.
Well, I thought we got a minute from the town saying we could. Not to decrease the tonnage in my house.
Yeah, it's, so number one, it is in the newsletter. I think,
You can have it in your bottle, plug in.
yeah, it's, so, you can get really deep in the rabbit hole, but the cheapest recycling is not commingled. It's individually segregated, and you take it to a MRF. But, because then they don't have to separate, and have to worry about contamination. But because we collect like we do, it's all commingled. But I think that in order for them to, the state makes us process glass. So if we go through this process, we would have to allow people to deposit cardboard, glass, steel, and aluminum cans, and yes, and glass would be included. Plastics, certain types of plastics would be included in that. And there's an education component to this as well, so the state requires that education component. We already satisfy that requirement because we put it in the newsletter. But we would do another, campaign for education.
Well, thanks, I got educated.
Absolutely. And we can, I don't remember when it's gonna run in the newsletter again, but it'll be in the newsletter before much longer.
So all we're asking now is to our mayor to legislate.
Yes. And you all have to allow him to do that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Like, if we were to do this, how long would we have to do it? What if we got into it and then we realized, hey, it's just not working?
Right.
We're the only county, we're the only town in the county, I think, that still does recycling.
We do, there are other, so Rutherford County has that MRF that we're
Yep.
talking about. And I'm not sure why other places don't do recycling unless, the answer to your question is, I can look into that further and get guidance from them. But I think providing the truck, that's most of the overhead in any kind of recycling or solid waste programming. So that's why they're keen to get us a truck, because that gives you a leg up. Because when you think, there's 1385 recycling customers in town, and then you divide that by $400,000, that's a significant pop. I can't do that math in my head.
Of course, the other concern I have is you say we have 1,300 and some recycling. There's the people who pay for recycling, then there are people that necessarily recycle.
Yes, and so that 1385 number would grow whether folks recycled or not, because then at that point it would move from an optional provided service into a public utility service that we require. So if you are eligible to be served, you would be served, whether you use the service or not. So, yes. And so like there are some places now in our public contract, they don't do business and commercial recycling. They also don't do multifamily recycling. And so this is the catalyst to expand our recycling program, to businesses and to those multifamily, not duplexes, but those types of apartment complexes, so that, the utility, being recycling programming, has the largest number of customers possible, so that it's viable long-term.
But if we have, expanded to business, is that correct? So Gardner-Webb being the largest business in town, well, maybe not the largest, maybe the biggest, consumer. I mean, how would that affect Gardner-Webb, and how would that all play out? I mean, would they have recycling available on campus? Gardner-Webb gonna pay a fee for recycling to this? I mean,
They could, so the way that it works with sanitation service already is that, they have, so you either have town trash cans, or you have a franchise agreement with a commercial vendor, Republic or whoever, you have dumpster. And so there's some flexibility on our part with that, we could look at that case by case. A lot of the Gardner-Webb properties, especially the ones that are off campus, off the corner, big slice, those do already get recycling from us. Because a lot of, thinking like Memorial Drive, and a lot of those are already assessed, that fee.
okay.
Internally to campus, I think, let's see if Nathan's still here. I think that they offer a recycling program over there already, so likely that would not be subject to this fee. We currently do, offer commercial recycling to certain businesses at no fee. And so that was part of what initiated, this discussion, was because we collect a significant amount of cardboard from several local small businesses for no additional fee. And, as we're looking at making sure that all of our user fee funded programs are sustainable long-term, that means that you assess folks some fee at the point of use. And that includes when we pick up commercial, small business cardboard.
And so with that, like Ingles and Dollar General would have tons of cardboard, tons of, I mean, it would greatly increase that number. So we're looking at 110 tons, right? Times $130
Yes,
per ton.
I think that, so Ingles, I can't imagine they would take advantage of this program, but they may. They don't use it now, they don't use our recycling program, neither does Dollar General.
They bundle their own cardboard.
Yes, but I'm thinking, so we've got, Napa does, Snack Shop, Quick Snack, the pharmacy, Forest. Was that 5? Napa, Quick Snack, Snack Shop, Pharmacy, Florist. Yep, those are the 5. Where a fee would need to be assessed in the short term.
Okay, thanks.
I think we'll have to look at the numbers a little better once we can apply for the grant, we get it. Looking at the numbers, getting all the numbers down and looking at it will be fairly interesting. I mean, if we're only paying $96,000 now for a driver and a truck, then it's $70,000 for our own driver. I mean, we'll have maintenance on that truck and replacement cost on it down the road.
Yes, so this doesn't have this year's contract is a little over 100, it's 100 and some change. There is some fine tuning to be done to determine if we can afford to bring it in-house. But, that's part of I think a much deeper dive into our programs, into program performance management that we would get into during the budget season before we actually made the official jump from Republic into this program. At this point, we just, because if the state's not able to bring in the $200,000, then it's not gonna be a viable endeavor. So I think that's what I'm trying to make sure is before we even spend a lot of time digging into it, that it's possible, rather than spending a significant amount of time for it to not even be a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, I think we do wanna get in the recycle business. And I think Tommy said this all along, there's a number of people in this town who do not recycle. So, well,
There is, and I think so, something to see as well on
but
page.
they're still charged.
Correct, yes, sir. So on page 27, when you all look under funding source, and y'all, I don't think you all usually see that column. But that column's on here so that you can see, there's a master spreadsheet where we take the source, the funding source for each line item in our budget, and we take it from the revenue page, and we put that, so that we know where the money goes, essentially. So the $142,500 on the revenue sheet generated by recycling goes into that line item, to cover our contract services. And so we make $142,500 on recycling. We spend $100,000. So we're actually coming out 42 to the good on recycling now. Now, when you add that in with the rest of the solid waste department, which is essentially trash, yard waste, bulk pickup, we're only coming out 20,000 to the good. Because the sanitation, solid waste, and bulk waste programs, somewhere in that ether, lose about 20 grand. So in theory, our recycling fees are subsidizing either the yard waste fee, the bulk pickup, or the trash fee, sanitation fee. And so that's why in the past when we've talked about recycling being important because recycling saves us money, all of that's still true. Now, depending on what the county's solid waste tipping fee schedule looks like, it may be that, and I don't have that number to hand, they've not published it yet for the upcoming fiscal year, but it may be that, you know, if they charge $100 per ton, then okay, that saves us money going through tipping fees. That has not traditionally been the case. Traditionally, using a recycling program has actually been cheaper to the town than, so, you know, we've actually saved money on solid waste bills by having recycling. Now, I think the question is to what extent and how much have we saved? Have we saved $142,000? No. But, that's where we've talked about that break even before and what the equilibrium looks like.
I have one other comment about if we borrow in the house. So now, like I mentioned all along, we don't know who's recycling, who's not. With our own driver, we actually could say, tell us how many recycling cans you picked up this week. And then we'd know, like if we have 1,000, 1,500 people who are paying, and then we have him count the cans he picks up for a period of time, and then get an average, we actually could tell how many people are using the service and how many are not. Could we not?
Yes, sir, we could, and so.
We'd have more control, I'm sort of saying
Absolutely.
it. And so to me, that's the benefit of us bringing it in-house, is we're driving the truck. We're not just sending somebody else out. And also I could call you and say, hey, this guy's turns my can over every time.
We get those calls every week.
I know you do, but I get complaints.
For Republic.
And I don't call, but 9 times out of 10, you know, and I think I told you all this, I actually once just turned down on going up Lindsay Lane, he was coming down, the recycling guy, and he got about halfway down, he just turned the cans loose.
And the wheels come off.
Wheels come off, they break the lids and stuff like
Yes,
that.
those lids are $19.60 a piece.
So one of the main things would be, we would be in control.
Right. And then the other thing, so we would be in control, we'd have a lot more flexibility on when to pick up, there would no longer be uncertainty, about is Republic coming this week or not. And then, that would also allow us, I'm forgetting the point that I was gonna make. Maybe that's my cue that I've just beaten the dead horse, but, I think in the long run, it does make sense for us. That is my back of the napkin math and knee-jerk reaction. But food for thought. If you will allow us to continue to consider this, by allowing the mayor to write a letter, we can continue tooling that out over the coming month. It's already February, so yeah, month.
Any other discussion? What's your pleasure?
I'm in favor of this and would like to make a motion to allow the mayor to draft a letter and all the towns to consider moving recycle services fully into the town's operation structure rather than a contractor.
Yep, I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. Any further discussion?
It's gonna not cost us anything to do this, correct?
No, sir. And we're not committed to it. It says in the letter that the mayor will write that, we are going to consider contingent on and may not accept.
All in favor of the motion, let me know, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay, motion carries. Moving along. Strategic planning.
How exciting. Strategic planning, so, as you all know, we have worked with Garden Web University to develop the town's preliminary draft of the town's strategic plan. So tonight, I need you all to sign off on and or okay these broad priorities. These priorities are umbrella terms, so that we can continue to build out the remainder of the strategic plan. So these are the broad strokes, and then we, the staff, will take these, and make sure that we develop appropriate objectives under each, and then under each objective, there are strategies, and under each strategy, there are actions. And so I need to make sure that you all are okay with these broad priorities before I move forward. Full disclosure, I already have a lot of the objective strategies and action items made. So, we're up to 11 and a half pages, but it's fine. So I think the easiest way to do it would just be take them one by one. Mr. Mayor, if that's okay, there's no vote on this, it's just a consensus item. Do we all feel okay with the growth and vitality, and this verbiage came from the Gardner Web students? And so that's where this came from. And I wasn't gonna read it out loud unless you all think it would be helpful. Infrastructure management, land use planning, sustainable economic development. Sound okay? Alright. The next one is priority 2, which is community awareness, engagement, and partnerships. And so this again came from the Gardner Web students. This one specifically came out of the survey that we did. And so it focuses on how we market ourselves, how we communicate with the public, with internal and external stakeholders, with the university, and specifically on engagement. It talked about the park. If you remember the survey results related to the park, suggested that folks don't know where our park is or that we even have a park, so working to remedy that. What are their thoughts on priority 2, community awareness and engagement, community awareness, engagement, and partnerships? Priority 3, quality of life. Boiling Springs, let's see, so this one is about cultural, community capital. So this is about investing in community capital. Amenities, working as a community towards, and we'll identify what specific goals that's gonna be later. But working towards, it talks about town events, parks and rec, public safety, and then Gardner Web is in this one as well, because they're such a large part of the town. We wanted to make sure they were incorporated in multiple areas. Outdoor spaces, safety education, and then that whole community capital aspect. Thoughts, questions on that? And then the last one, high performance governance. So this is, this section of the plan will be more your instruction to staff. So making sure that, we are implementing department level strategic planning, working on stakeholder engagement, looking at, funding sources. There's a part that talks about, federal and state grants, looking at our staff capacity and our staffing as a whole. Like we do, annually through the budget process. So any feedback on that?
I think that was the area that from the survey, that people felt most comfortable with, is our government. So, give or take on that, I don't know what that says. They were satisfied.
Well, they did say that, and someone made a joke and asked who all I paid to take the survey. And I said, well, clearly nobody who's ever dealt with me. So that was like 3 people that were dissatisfied. They made it to me. That's not correct, but no, I think there's a lot that goes in there about the kind of odds and ends of government. So, making sure that we're being fiscally responsible, making sure that we're looking at different revenue sources, that we're considering things in the round. What I was gonna say about recycling that I told y'all I forgot, to Mayor Green's point, but it applies here as well. What gets measured gets managed, right? So if we know the number of cans we pick up, we can then manage that service better. And so there's an important part to government where it's data inputs. And that's the part that I like. There's also a side to it that's the touchy-feely stuff, and the community part and the lovey-dovey, and we feel good because we're the government, we're all here working as part of a team. And so balancing that appropriately to make sure that we are an employer of choice, that we're a community of choice, and that we maintain, I think, our strong reputation among the community. For a good place to I don't want to say live, work, and play, because people say it all the time, to exist. Anything on any 4 of these?
I'd just like to say that I think they're all good, but now that comes the hard part. You gotta get them off this piece of paper, get them in action. That's where the meat lies. So the people see them in action. I think they're all good goals, but I think it's up to us and you and everybody else to turn this piece of paper into where it's going here.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Absolutely. And I think, so under each priority, there are at least 2 objectives. I'm 90%, well, I'm more than that, percent sure that there are actually more than 2 objectives under each one, but I know the minimum was 2 objectives. Under each objective, there are at least 2 strategies, and under every strategy, there are at least 2 action items. So that will be, the action level is the level of specificity that staff needs to move these things forward. And so we will, if these are approved and we're all comfortable with these, I will work on drafting and refining the objectives so that I can have that sent out to you all in advance of the strategic planning meeting that we have at the end of the month, so that you all can look over those and make sure that we don't see any issues with those objectives. After that point, I'll send you all the strategies and action items, but it's gonna get so robust that, again, it ended up culminating in an 11.5-page document. So it's a lot to read at one point, or at one, just in one sitting, it is a little bit cumbersome. And so what we'll do, assuming we're comfortable with this, and once we get to that stage, we'll break it into bite-sized, marketable segments, so that we can send that to the public, so that we can allow people to understand and digest what our vision, what your vision for the town will be by 2030, and where we'll be sitting at that point. And we want that to be easy to understand and digest, and not written in government bureaucratic type flowery speech, so that people can understand, digest, and see it, and then they can say, oh, this is what's happening because of our plan. thoughts, feedback? I don't have anything else on that, Mr. Mayor. And I don't, as long as we're all in consensus with that.
Okay. Brings us to comments. Guess you're still up. You got 3 minutes.
Oh my goodness, well,
Like public comment.
I'm gonna blow right through that. So,
I didn't know that.
yes. Couple things. South Main Street is slightly delayed due to ice and snow. The good news is they were ahead of schedule. And so they track these days and they have to document the days that they're not able to work due to weather. And so we're working with them on that. We have monthly meetings to receive updates, and it's an all-hands meeting, so, last month, I think there were 13 or 15 of us in the conference room, and so there's people from, the engineering firm, there's us, the construction folks, so everybody's in there together, and we're getting good updates from them. Do we want to cancel the subcommittee meeting for next week? I do not have anything now. If y'all want to get together, I mean, we can. It's not gonna bother me a bit. I'm not making any promises about being out by 6:30.
Send me an email.
I can just, well, I can freestyle. I'll find something to talk about. On Wednesday, the 11th, I will be out of the office all day. We have been invited to, it's called a SWIFT, SWIFT meeting. It's the Strengthening Water Infrastructure for Tomorrow. Convening in the town of Boiling Springs is one of the case study municipalities for our Hurricane Helene response. It's something put on by US EPA and the Department of Environmental Quality. So we participated in a virtual session earlier this month. That was for the Southeast. This one is specific to North Carolina response and recovery. But I'll be in Morganton all day on Wednesday. Do not forget that the strategic planning meeting is on 2/21, so that's Saturday, February 21st, from 9 until 2. So make sure you've got that down. Don't forget, I will remember to send you an email, and that'll be here in this room. We'll pull out the tables that have the screen down like we normally do. The March meeting is on March the 3rd. That is election day, and so this room will be used for elections. And so I think probably best to forego that meeting and then have the regularly scheduled subcommittee meeting or the work session meeting in March, which would be on the 10th. Any issues with that out of the gate? Okay. With them voting here, I didn't think you all would want to be up here while they're trying to vote. I think that would be a little bit precarious. So, and are we good to push it to the 10th? Okay, so mark your calendars for 3/10, and that's at 5:30. And can someone?
5:30?
Yes, sir.
5:30?
Yes, now, we can do it at 6:30, that's just gonna be a deviation from the schedule, so we'll just have to do things on our side a little bit differently. But we already have a noticed meeting at 5:30.
I'm fine with it, I was just making sure I heard that right.
Yes, and so far, we've got a few items on that. Let's do this. Let's do 5:30 and we will provide supper. Because that meeting is gonna be the capital improvement plan from McGill, our contractor. And so that's gonna be I imagine that meeting will be a little bit longer anyway. So probably better that we start at 5:30.
So that's gonna be our moved date for our
Yes.
council meeting for March, to March the 10th at 5:30.
Yes, sir. And then we'll provide some kind of food. Tracy will get in touch with you all. We'll do something easy to eat. But that'll be better anyway, because that meeting may go for a little while. With them presenting our capital. Is that okay with everybody? Any concerns about that. They were planning to be here on the 3rd anyway, but this is they've been working on it for 4 years, and spoiler alert, the number's 13 million over the next 10 years that we need to spend on water and sewer system improvements. So that's why I say we may be here for a little while that night, so we'll feed you. If you have dietary preferences, please get in touch with Tracy. And Mr. Mayor, I do need someone to make a motion to cancel that meeting. And that would be rescheduled because it's a work session, so it's already counted. No. Tracy says that somebody has to make a motion to do that.
I need a motion to have, for the meeting to be rescheduled to March 10th, please.
Make a motion that we reschedule the meeting, the March 3rd meeting to March the 10th at 5:30 p.m.
Second. All in favor? Opposed, motion carried.
5:30. Okay, easy enough. Let's see.
Send us some email.
Oh, Tracy will put it on our calendars too. She knows if she doesn't, I will be there. Sorry. All right. The April meeting, you may all remember, we had discussed shifting that meeting when we initially put it on the calendar because we're gonna meet on the 21st. So, when we tabled that meeting initially, we had talked about maybe we would or would not have it. Because you all, that's the week of spring break. We didn't know at the time how that would affect folks. That's the week after Easter. Is that a meeting that you all want to have, or do you want to forego it? So that's on the 7th of April. We will have a budget meeting on the 14th. And we will have a budget meeting on the 25th. And so if that's something that you all wanted to forego, that is certainly possible.
What was that last date?
The 25th of April. That is our 3rd budget meeting.
It hadn't been on the calendar.
So what did we forego, was so many dates thrown out?
I'm sorry. So the April 7th meeting, because that's 2 days after Easter, when we initially put that on the calendar, we had talked about maybe not meeting that day because there's budget meetings kind of bookending that day at the very end of February, and then again, end of March, and then in the middle of April. So rather than meeting potentially 3 times in April, we talked about only meeting twice in April.
For the 14th and the 25th.
Yes, sir. That's completely up to you all.
You just need a motion to move the April 7th date to April 14th.
Well, we could just cancel the April 7th if you all want to. Yeah, that's completely up to y'all, and we can decide that later if you all want to. That's perfectly fine. I just was trying to do all the calendar stuff at one time.
All the agenda items will be put in those dates.
Yeah, we would just push them to May. And so we can do that if you all need to. And if you all want to continue to meet, that is perfectly fine as well. We can keep that.
Meeting May on the 5th, that's Cinco de Mayo, do we have margaritas?
We are not. We will meet that. We will not have margaritas. You can go to El Acapulco and have a margarita.
We could meet that way.
Well, no, we certainly could. I will say, if you are going to consume alcohol, we prefer that you do it within the town.
Please keep your step outside.
Yes, well, and especially within the county. Do not eat out of county, because if you eat out of the county, then that's where your sales tax goes. So don't do that. Don't buy anything outside of Liberty County. Very important.
Your 3 minutes are up.
They're way up. But do you got anything on you want to just keep April 7th for now? It's completely up to you all. Right now, the April 7th meeting is empty.
I make a motion, we cancel our April the 7th meeting.
A second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, motion carries. April is out of here.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I conclude my remarks. Actually, didn't have a list, that was it.
All right, Captain Davis.
Yeah, I got an update from the fire department from last year. So they ran a total of 598 calls, 31 were working fires, and they responded to Gardner Webb 190 times, and they logged 5,000 hours of training hours. Popping and busy. They hope to be in the fire department by the 10th, but they are waiting on the fire pole that has to be fabricated, and that takes like 8 months to be fabricated, and they're behind. So that will probably be the hinge point of the April 10th date. But so far, so good. Everything's looking good. I toured it last week, and it looks great. It's coming right along. That's it for the fire department. I just want to thank the town and town employees for all the work they've done throughout the winter storm. That's a lot we keep on having. Apparently, I thought there were some snow flurries. Hopefully, that's just a myth, and we'll get rain instead. Thank you guys for everything that you do.
How many calls did you say you went to Gardner Webb?
I'll repeat everything. So 598 calls altogether, 190 calls went to Gardner Webb, 31 working fires, and over 5,000 hours of training.
What did they say about that Gardner Webb? They just went there, there was nothing.
All the
anything-
Gardner Webb calls were alarms, so they were true fire alarms.
No kind of working fire or anything.
No.
I want to thank you before, it was like 180 or something. That's all I'll say about that.
We do not have a municipal fire department. We contract with a nonprofit fire department to provide fire protection service within the town.
And I don't think the majority of people understand that.
You can tell how many times I say it.
Do I?
I say that a lot.
I do too, but
I love talking about the fire department, because, oh yeah, they're right there. Easy. Go talk to them. That's like DOT.
you finished that, anything else to?
Yes, sir.
Captain Tom?
Yeah, first of all, I want to extend my condolences to Mr. Gillette's family, and, I got to thinking about him in general terms, and, you know, I pictured, him, and if I had to give some titles to him, it'd be a gentleman, a statesman, a patriarch, and a pillar of our community, and, among many other titles, and he'll be greatly missed, so, condolences. Congratulations to the police officers who were sworn in, and thank you, Chief, great job. You're retooling the police department, you're reshaping that, and I hear so many positive things, so thank you so much. Thank you to, Rhonda, and for some reason, the other young lady's name?
Tisha.
Tisha.
Okay, good. That left my brain, I was like, on the financials at Mary Grace Keller, I mean, it's, we're very fortunate to have you guys and, continue working hard, so great job as well. And then, like Justin said, for the street department and, you know, the response on the 2 ice storms and snowstorms and all, I mean, I hear nothing but good stuff, and, you know, we were able to stay grounded. I appreciate the messages going out to the community, like, hey, just stay still. And I don't know how many wrecks that we responded to and all that, Chief, but, I mean, it seemed to be that everything seemed to be good, right? And so thank you for everybody that, worked really hard to go through this. So that's all I've got.
I'd like to just say thank you. He was an amazing man. 71 years living in Willow Springs. But I think as I look back, the one thing that served in the town, he loved Willow Springs. But this building right here, his goals and mine, and I was on the board in the 80s, and we talked about, we was at that little fire park right up here, and they talked about having a new building one day, and I got off the board for a little while there. But my dad sort of, it was a dream of him, and his name's on the cornerstone out here. He mowed grass with a towel. I mean, me and when I came to them, and I've been in the family over 50 years. But thank you, the town, he loved the town, and like I said, he was an amazing person. Chief, just seeing those sworn in was amazing. That was impressive. I know we're in good hands in that part. Our leadership from Zach, I mean, it starts at the top. And Rhonda, I know you've gone through that audit, I mean, that was impressive too, and every year it seems like good things are coming out of that. And working with this fine group, I'm amazed on, I love Bowling Springs too. I don't live in Warren. I really don't. So, thank you, Mayor. What?
You said me, it was a lady.
Police officer, someone's a lady.
Oh, and the lady, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was impressive. Yeah, I was amazed with her too. It's just, we're in good hands, and I feel safe in Bowling Springs. I say that every day, and thanks for taking care of the citizens of Bowling Springs, because I know we have one amazing staff. Tracy, thanks for keeping us together. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I second what everybody said. I mean, we're just really blessed to live in this town. And all the new police officers, the police lady that was sworn in, I didn't know she was here until tonight, which that's great. But just to see the new faces and their families coming in, surround them, Chief Diorio, we appreciate your coming in and putting a new face on our police department. And it's just different. The vibe in our town is just different since you came on. I appreciate everything you've done thus far. As far as the crews working the last 2 weeks, it's just been amazing what they've done with what little bit of equipment they have. And you compare Bowling Springs to Shelby. We go to Shelby quite a bit, and it's night and day different how much better our guys have done here in Bowling Springs than what they've done in Shelby. So that's a tip of the hat to our crews, how they've worked. And Ronnie going through this audit and everything, I know that's got to be a stressful time of year for you and Tisha every year. Tisha's, I'm sure, learning how stressful it is. But then again, also, I would say to condolences to Billy and Patty and so Elizabeth, yeah, and the loss of Mr. Elliott. And I told him, I said, 95 years, that's a good long life. I don't know how many of us be blessed to live 95 years. And he was in his right mind all 95 years. And Billy and Patty to stand by him and look after him and his wife for all those years is a tribute to them. And I told Billy, I said, I know it's kind of like a blessing and a curse that he's passed. But, now they get a little bit of time that they can go travel and do some things that they haven't been able to do for the last 15 years. So, and also, Justin, I'd like also offer condolences to Caden's family and the loss of her grandmother. This council here, we're kind of like family, so we're thinking about you. Both of y'all are in our prayers. That's all I have.
Well, it's a privilege to be able to be a part of honoring Bill Hudd and what he stood for and the things he did for this town. So we certainly have our thoughts with the family during this time. It's good to see the police force and put the faces with the names and see the activity there. Good news with the audit and in general. And I did see the snowplow look correct. So Zach's off the hook.
Cut the red nose and broke a bottle of champagne in front of it.
Yeah, he's off of that. Everybody's probably thought we was crazy for buying a snowplow 3 or 4 years ago, but we needed it. So, thank you, Jim.
Well, he's got to stole a lot of my thunder. Well, I had on my list, I wanted to make sure condolences to your wife and loss of grandmother. Could tell by the post that it was a very special relationship. So I hope you express that. And Councilman Ellis, Elliott, Mayor Elliott was a special person. And not just to me, but to the community. I son just, you know, had him in school, my son just thought he would walk on water. And he's just one of thousands. That, and I don't know if it'd be possible, maybe we could come up with some other way to honor him. You know, we could.
I think this building, I
maybe
just
not.
think this building, he talked about a lot. This building's beautiful.
It
We're
is.
lucky to have a building in this town of Boiling Springs like that. He talked about it a lot, and I think honoring him with his name on, it means a lot, and that meant a lot to him.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people, I just don't want to think that he was the one, but there was a lot of people instrumental in getting this facility that we had. And I think the people just take it for granted, it's not. I know we got the, building down in credit union, and then we had the town, the fire department, what buildings we have in Boiling Springs. But it's all about the people, y'all. It's all about the citizens of Boiling Springs, how they feel about it. It's just not me. They love Boiling Springs. They wouldn't be here. So, continue everything. Sorry, Mayor.
All right, no problem. I too would like to offer my appreciation to Rhonda and her staff. Having been on the end of that, for 28 years and having to deal with the state auditor for 28 years, I know what you went through. A lot of, more than anybody in this room realizes, actually. There's a lot goes into that, and I think we're very fortunate to have the staff. Chief, I can't tell you how many, when people see you around the community, I always hear good things, and that's, in the crowd I run with, if you hear good things, that's a good thing. I'm sure you've seen someone at the round table at the quick stack there, but, and the officer you have and the ceremony we had, I was honored to be a part of that. And I wanted us to do them each individually so that they'd have that individual recognition. They're not just part of a group, they're all individuals, and hope to express to them how much we appreciate the job that they do. And the entire staff, like I say, with all the weather we've had and all that, it's just amazing how they come together, how they work together. And I'm not just talking about the guys out on the street, because there's got to be somebody behind it, internally, externally. It's just, I just think we're very fortunate. Couple other things. You know, we talked a little bit at our last meeting about the mural. Got any updates on where we are with that?
So there's a separate mural that has emerged as of late, and it's a little bit, it's called Mural Mosaic, and it's a group of folks. They're doing something for the America 250 for the semi-quincentennial, and it is $6,000. And it's printed on aluminum, and there is a community engagement component, so it's just not as many pieces as the one we had discussed. Haley was actually out there today taking pictures of the wall in the courtyard where it would go where those holly trees are. So we're still looking at those two options.
Have you talked with people about the wall? About putting it on the wall?
We have in a brief discussion, but they didn't seem to have any kind of trouble with, they didn't have any heartburn or anything else about it. But this one is part of a series that they do, and so the cost to us is $6,000, but it costs more than that to create and produce, but then they have an official ribbon cutting, and they have an entire process, and they're based in Canada, but they've got them all over the world, and it would go on their website, and they have, she said that when they just did one somewhere in Scotland, and so they take a group there from, and then it goes into like they have members in this cooperative, and so they will all go and visit all of the murals around the world, and so she said they would bring a contingent of those folks. So I'm working with her, we're at the high level stages of that, but I actually emailed her a couple of times today. So I'm wanting to finalize that with her. She's gonna pitch it to their board this week to see if we would be a good fit for that mural.
I think something like that would be good for us.
And it looks
Good addition
similar.
To the courtyard.
It looks very similar to the other one.
The only part I liked about the other one was, you know, you actually have people to paint the block, the squares.
Yes.
You know, to me, that would be something that, a teenager could do, and they'll put your name on the back, and it'd be, I think there's pros and cons of both. All right, there's pros approach for both, I guess.
This one has a community engagement component the same way that that one does, where you paint some of it.
Oh, I didn't understand.
Yes.
I guess I did that anyway.
It's just significant, it's not as many pieces. So the other one, I think it's 900 pieces that would need to
Could
be
be
painted.
done.
If that's the size that we chose. This one is less than that. It's closer to 100 to 200 pieces, but it's the same size because some of the mural is standardized, and then there are portions of the mural which are tailored to the individual place. I'm still firming up all of those details, but I hope to have that to you all, not by the end of this week, but the conclusion of next week, so that we can move forward, because we're gonna want to coordinate that with the rest of those, with the rest of the art activities.
Yeah, okay. Other thing is, and I just wanted to throw this out there, and something I'd like for us to talk about more, maybe at our strategic planning session is, you know, something that I talked about even when I ran for town council was some type of a blue ribbon committee where, and I'm just talking in broad terms here tonight, where maybe we form a committee made up of councilmen, citizens of the town, business owners of the town, where we don't sit and wait for people to come to us, we go and we actually solicit businesses. And a component of that could be, we could have a town hall meeting where we ask people, what type business would you like to see? You know, and one of those is gonna be a grocery store. I vote for that. But, you know, where maybe we go to, I'm going over to this, but maybe this committee, we have a list of all the things we have to offer, or the demographics, maybe even real estate that might be available, and we go to them and say, hey, we'd like you to consider coming to our community. Well, we don't wait for them to come to us, we go to them. And I'd like to spearhead that committee, and I just call it the Blue Ribbon Committee, maybe a better name, so we can work out the details maybe at our strategic planning, with some pre-planning, maybe you and I could talk.
What did I tell you about putting stuff on the agenda for that strategic planning meeting? It's full.
You want your things off, put mine on.
Just tack on another hour to whatever time I told you I would.
Hey, take two of yours off, put one of mine on. It is something I really think, it would benefit the town, and I think if I were an executive of a grocery store chain in the town, come to me and say, hey, we'd like you to consider coming to our town, to me, it'd have some weight. Might have two things, might wake Ingles up, say, hey, another grocery store might come here. And I use the grocery store because that's one of the things we always hear, but maybe other type businesses too. We're growing a lot, and there's just certain types of businesses that the town needs and it's attractive to us.
And Isaac meets with retail strategies frequently, and so we can see if, he can coordinate with them to, get a list of potential grocers, and those type of, vendors, because especially where Tractor Supply is going, the property next to it, there's a phenomenon that they call, oh gosh, I just lost it. But it's, nobody wants to move first, right? So the first brick out of the wall, is the most important one, because after that, everything else comes down. And so Tractor Supply, I'm hoping, is going to be the first national retailer that we see, and then others will say, okay, yes, this area is prime for development, because they follow each other. And so Tractor Supply adjacent things that are not duplications will say, okay, they don't need any more farm stuff, or Tractor Supply type things, but they have this market segment, they need whatever we offer, not to compete with Tractor Supply, but we're after the same customers.
A grocery store.
Yes, and a grocery store is exactly, yes.
We're talking about respectful growth type thing, we could be able to control it somewhat, the citizen can control that. They're going to be the ones going to the business.
Yeah, and I think maybe we have like a town hall meeting, and we'll say, what would you like to see?
I like it.
You know, and so that we kind of, we'd have to weed some of those, we'd have to work through all that, we couldn't just, we couldn't have everything, but I think we might get some buy, and get their buy-in before we actually ever go.
Yeah.
I think Zach, you have a lot of people, I say a lot of people, who comes to you and say, we might be interested in coming to Mold Springs, don't you?
We do, and so Retail Strategies, that's part of what they do.
What
So
they do.
our new, approach with them has been to work with, the folks across the pond, but, to work with Gardner Webb. And so we're having we've got an upcoming meeting with Gardner Webb and Retail Strategies to develop a joint program for recruiting. That is new. That is not something that's ever been of interest to the university. And so we're excited about that, having that joint meeting to put the university's firepower behind economic development in our downtown district. I have one more thing that I need to shoehorn in.
Your time's up.
We're gonna do some sidewalk repairs across town. So we've had a company that came in and they scored all of our sidewalks for ADA compliance. And so, you may see some cutting and pruning and moving of sidewalks. All that's within the current budget, because we can use some POW funds for that, and it's gonna make sure that those sidewalks are ADA compliant. You will not see that along South Main Street, because those sidewalks, especially on the Gardner Webb side, they're gone now. But the other ones, we're waiting to begin that process until we've weeded all the South Main Street ones out. That we're gonna touch. Yeah, we won't be able to do those, but in places where the sidewalks have those gaps, they'll be able to smooth that out to make it an easier transition. I meant to tell you all that. I don't have anything else, Mr. Mayor, I promise, but if you let me sit here long enough, I'll think of something.
We'll wrap this up real quick. The only other was, I know you met with the pastor and the chairman of the Deacons Wolf Bank Baptist Church about the wall. What kind of, the wall we talked about, rather than the fence?
Correct.
Was that a cordial meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
No issues?
No issues at all. I spoke with, Pastor Dixon and then with, Mr. Pittman, Don Pittman, who's the chairman of the Deacons at Boiling Springs Baptist Church, about the, cemetery stormwater control project. And he didn't have neither of them had any objections, to what we had proposed. And so, actually got the quote today from AT&T for them to remove that overhead line, remove those poles, and then to install a new down guy wire in front of the communications building between where the existing crosswalk is and Rapid Pace will. They will need to put a guy wire there, to come down to stabilize the pole. That will be $37,000. And so we have that quote now, and I gave them the green light to go ahead and do that. Because those prices are not up for negotiation, because they are utilities, and the General Assembly has given them all the rights to do that, and there is no negotiating with them. So they're gonna go in and do that, whether we move forward with the wall or not, because their conduit already exists underground, and they don't need the aerial line. So, either way, folks will see that line coming down. But, Mr. Pittman and Pastor Dixon were very open to that. They said they didn't feel like we needed to come, I offered to do a presentation, to the House and Grounds Committee or Building Committee at the church, or to the Cemetery Committee. They said they didn't feel like that was necessary. And so I told them I could come and speak at a business meeting if needed, that I would make myself available to the folks at the church if they felt like that was necessary either now or once the project is underway. And so they told me they didn't think so, but I told them to follow up if I needed to come over and explain what we were doing.
One thing I'd like to add is, pleasure to work with you guys. Pleasure to be the forefront of the council and the town. It's been a pleasure. Very proud of what's going on here, and I think people will I think once the South Main Street project is finished, people are just gonna be amazed at what's happening there, especially when the courtyard's finished. So I'm glad we're to this stage. So now we don't need to talk about what we're gonna do next. We don't need to be stopping, we need to be keeping, if all starts rolling, we need to keep it rolling. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Have a second? Second, all in favor?